everyone, and welcome to the 41st episode of the Swexen podcast. Look, I have a guest. I have a guest. I have a guest. So, long story short, we all sit and look at Facebook, blah, 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 blah. And then I see in a Swedish group a girl who's been published in a magazine, a question magazine. And I could not resist the urge of asking Linda Helene, do you want to join me?
Yeah.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining me. So, right, what was this equestrian publication? Tell me about that.
Well, it's something that is very not Swedish to do.
I know.
Brag or say anything that you're good at anything or whatever. But I am not that Swedish anymore, I guess. I like to, I love bragging.
Absolutely. Why not? Why not? And it is very Swedish to not brag.
And I'm so honored. We, me and my family, and it's actually me and my oldest daughter, we have worked so hard to be able to do what we are doing today. We are, at this moment right now, we are running a LH Riding Academy here in Marietta, California. And we have not just that we train riders, we also train horses. And we trying to make all this happen on, no, I wouldn't say low budget because it's not, but we try to not charge our riders that much.
$1 million.
Yeah, $1 million, exactly.
Because equestrian, regardless of where in the world you are, it's damn expensive. Excuse my language. And I say that as I could say like half and half, former equestrian. I still have my horses, but I don't do equestrian on a daily basis as I want to. But it's not a sport where you only need a football to, and then you need to use your body. A horse and whatever comes with it is expensive.
But it's even more here in US. We have had working students from Sweden coming over here, and they were all very shocked how expensive it is. Wow. Because the shows here are completely different than in Sweden. We are running a hunter jumper farm, so the shows we are attending are not voluntarily based, so everybody gets their salary, I guess. So a normal show for a rider per week is about $5,000.
Crap!
And that's divided obviously. Yeah, so that's divided obviously between a trainer and a hauler and whatever. But it's actually the biggest fee is that how much it costs to be at the horse show, between the stall fees and the class fees and all the different association fees that we have to pay. So it's I realized that when I moved here 2007, but I wanted to make it a little bit of a difference for some riders that really want to become trainers or just have riding as their for whatever. We have a lot of kids and riders in the past that have had anxiety problems.
Oh, horses are awesome for anxiety.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's nothing better. Horses and dogs. Yes, we're all in it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But we also, so in order to do this, we do a lot of rescues in between. So, and with rescues, it's not just that we go out and get the horse from a kill pen or things like that. That's not what we do. But we do a lot of rehabbing horses that might have been, we were talking before this podcast started to record, but you were talking about you have horses that still not under saddle yet. We get a lot of horses that are a little bit on the older side maybe, and we rehab them back or we retrain. We have a couple, most of our horses are warm blood horses, sport horses, but we do have a couple that are thoroughbreds directly from the tracks that we retrain.
Those are a challenge.
Yeah, but not always. So, but most what the challenges have been is that most of them have been pretty broken when they get here. Most of them have, we have actually two of our horses. We had to pay for surgeries.
Oh,
They both had broken legs, and then they're actually we have them back, so they're completely fine today to do whatever they
that's
need to do. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing. So you have a background before you moved here. You
Mhm.
said 2007. Where in
Mhm.
Sweden are you from?
I am from a little town called Bålsta,
Outside
um,
Stockholm.
outside Stockholm,
Yeah,
and it was one of those towns that was so boring. There was nothing else to do than either go out and be a
a
thug,
monster. A
or
monster.
you go and um, do horseback riding.
Yeah,
And I'm pretty lucky because my whole family are riders. So we that was my obviously
to
my to
go
go.
sport.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
yeah.
And then you decided in 2007, heck, Sweden, I'm going to
Mhm.
US. Here I
Yeah,
come, and I'm
here
going
I
to start
come.
my own riding school. And
Yeah.
evidently, you've
Mhm.
done a huge success. What do you see is the difference between Sweden riding schools and the American riding schools? Because there is a
Yeah,
huge difference.
it's such a big difference. So the riding school here, the concept here is not really like usually it's they're all obviously private owned, but it's the biggest thing. The most of the riding schools here in US are broken down horses that are and the kids don't really they learn walk, trot, canter maybe, and it's that's about it. And if you're lucky, you're at the riding school that allow you to brush the horse or tack it up yourself. Um, that's like the concept of a riding school here. But
Yeah.
most of the people then after the riding school they go and find a private trainer, and then they have to buy their own horse, they have to pay the trainers, and it's like this big concept. And then in Sweden everything is pretty much funded by the government, as we know.
Yeah,
We get a
it
lot of,
is.
yeah,
It is.
and it's
And
usually clubs, so
yeah, it's substituted by the government, and you have a
mhm,
whole different. And it doesn't matter if it's equestrian or if
mhm,
it's whatever sport it is. You have these uh, organizations that just supports everything, and
yeah,
they also kind of sort of regulate things. But it is also, um, well, there she goes. See if she comes back in a little bit. Guess I will have to go in and cut that. Yay!
sorry, I don't know what
There
happened.
we go. I don't know either. I do not know, but that's what happened. Technology
Okay,
is awesome, right?
that was great. But I bet you had a great um, talk.
I was just sitting here looking in the camera, and I'm like, yeah,
Sorry.
I think she will be back in a second. So just hold
I
on
figured it
tight
out.
here. Yeah,
So
Sweden is regulated, and
mhm,
with it, these national organizations, um, and it does make it cost effectively as well,
exactly.
just because the government goes in and they substitute these organization who
Yeah.
then gives grants and funds to
Okay.
the individuals
Yeah.
or
And also,
clubs.
I feel like in Sweden it's also um, voluntarily based, or they have clubs that so it's a little bit different. And that
Yeah,
was my point when I moved to New Hampshire first. When I moved to US, I really wanted to make a Swedish riding school, pretty
yeah,
much, because what
yeah.
I feel
It's
like
different.
what I feel like it happens here in US that they hold back their riders. They don't really want them to go on the next level because either it's the horses that they have, they don't want to overwork them, or they just don't have the knowledge.
Hmm.
So, and that's most of the riding schools. If you have a riding school, they even allow them to jump. It's not really any um, real training. So um, so that I wanted to change that. I wanted to make my riders to be really good at dressage and not just jump around. I wanted them to have a really good base in riding and knowledge to really take care of a horse. And we're doing very well with that. And I think that's why we have been pretty successful both in on the East Coast where I started and here in California.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting for me. I work a lot on horse shows as EMS, so I'm just sitting and watching all this go
Mhm.
on and having my knowledge, competing nationally and internationally many years ago, and I can tell there are some just to have their trainers with them to a show. I'm like, I've never had a trainer with me to the show,
Yeah,
and the trainer I was like, do this,
yeah,
and this, and I'm like, don't boss my
yeah,
ass around.
yeah,
That in
yeah.
the
It's
beginning
hard.
that
It's
was
so
really
different.
hard for me.
It's so different, and it's both in a in a bad and a good way, I guess. And I have to admit, I am one of those trainers because it's here in US is so different. That way, as I told you, that just the prices and how things work.
That was a
You know,
shock.
yeah, and it's everything here is really expensive. Everything from insurance to the tack to the feed and hauling or whatever. And in order for us to make our living, we have to make sure we keep everything pretty organized and pretty that we have to boss people around or quote unquote because I can't let my client go around and ride their horse or one of my horses around and something happens or you know we want that horse to be able to last for a
Long
lot of
time
rides. Yeah,
and be happy.
yeah, and be happy exactly. But
Yeah.
it is different, and I think that was also in one of my um, working students from Sweden that came here. She was just like, wow, it's so different. But she I think when she came back to she could only be here for 3 months, obviously due to visa. But when she went back to Sweden, she said that's something that I would love for more trainers to do in Sweden because it is a lot
Yeah.
of kids that think that they can ride. It's a lot of this, I been looking at my own friends, videos on Facebook, and I obviously I'm a lover. I want to love everyone. I want to click the little love button or whatever. But sometimes I feel like poor ponies. They're, there's all this like ripping them in the mouth, go for over. Everything's gonna be so high. Everything, all about the height and the speed, and it's it's
Uncontrolled.
uncontrolled.
Yes.
Exactly.
That
So,
that is one thing,
mhm,
but I think that like finding a middle level
mhm,
where the trainers shouldn't be is hard to find, but that would be the optimal, you know.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Something there too. Yeah.
but I say, yeah, I wish that my trainer could be there because
Mhm,
being on a show versus training at home
mhm,
is different.
right.
It's not the same because you have all the nerves coming into it,
Mhm,
and then things that you don't see in a video of behind the scenes things that a trainer can see on scene. And I was like,
mhm,
hey, let's work on that, and that.
mhm,
How about mental training? When I grew up in Sweden and I was in a riding club and riding school, they worked a lot with us on mental training.
mhm.
I don't know if it was just the club I was in who
Yeah.
did this, um, but I think I have not seen anyone do that. What do you do about that here in US, teaching kids to show and compete?
Yeah. So I first off, I'm not trained in any mental,
No,
sport or
no,
anything. But I'm a
but in
mom myself.
preparation
Yeah.
for
And for me, it's
preparation for
so
any kind of show.
yeah. For me, it's so important to have happy kids that are also focused. We are an academy, so we're not we want our kids to show obviously, and we want them
Mhm.
to succeed and not just be stuck on the same level the whole time. But have a lot of I see that. I don't know if it's last couple of years, but a lot of kids are very anxious, and we
Mhm.
talk about it a lot. And trying to get, and it's almost like a concept that I started. I would say about 10 years ago when I started to get kids that were very anxious, and that's just giving them a little bit more of a push, and try to not keep the parents always standing next to them when they're riding. We want them to, we always, obviously all parents are welcome, but I recommend them to go and grocery shop, do whatever, and then have like a good push on the kids. Not, obviously we're not putting up the jumps super high if they, but trying to always have a little bit of a challenge because kids get really, proud of
Bored.
themselves when they can,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I'm,
get
I'm sitting here laughing because you've seen it.
yeah,
What I'm laughing at is, all the videos where you have the mom and the dad, they're like
yeah.
next to the fence and they're
Mhm,
jumping and they're,
mhm. I
oh,
know,
this and
I
it's
know,
that, and they're really trying to ride for the whoever
I
their
know, and it's
family member.
so,
I am laughing so hard. That's where my mind went, and I'm like,
I know. But those parents I love, but the parents that constantly question if the kids really can do it, because then you
oh
know
yeah,
that that's where the anxiety comes from because the parents have never allowed them to do anything that might not,
they haven't been
work.
able to try even
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
accomplish something. So
Mhm.
now you live on a farm and you do something else than just equestrian. You live on
I
a wine
know.
farm.
I know. It's pretty cool. And it's our, I mean, it have been in, this is the 8th year. This have been a little production here on the farm, but we have only lived here for a year.
Okay.
And so last year was I didn't move here until May. So my husband and my son moved a couple months earlier before me and the girls. And so they had to just get right into it, had to learn. We thought the farm would come with all the stuff. That didn't happen.
Okay.
And staff
Yeah.
is really, really hard to find. But we're part of a company that also are supporting other small vineyards.
Hmm.
So they are taking care of, education, helping us, teaching us how to take care of it. Um, and then when it comes to the big stuff, like when we were picking the grapes, we had about 10, 20 people here to pick it. Um, and then through, throughout the season, they come out and help us out a little bit. And the wine is not being made here; that gets shipped to another place, and they
Okay.
storing it for us and, and bottling it. And I think our last year is gonna probably be bottled soon,
Okay.
I assume. So it's very exciting, and we have a new logo this year, so we're really excited about
Yeah, I
that.
saw that. So go
Yeah,
under Linda's name. You see the Instagram. You can go on Facebook as well. Just search for Dream Hill Farms. I
it's
love that logo.
yeah. Thank you.
I saw it. It's like a
Yeah,
golden horse and some
yeah.
wine
I
grapes
can
there.
take credit for it. We had a company make it, but
It doesn't
it was
matter. They did a
yeah,
great job.
did a really good job. We
I
really
was
did.
really impressed, and I was like, I like that. Yes,
Yeah, it's very pretty,
absolutely.
and
It
it's
really informs everything y'all do.
yeah, and it's new to us, so we're learning. Me and my husband, we always been very restless and wanted to learn and do new things, and um we
Is it red or white wine? I
this is
know nothing about wines. I don't drink
this
wine. I'm
is
allergic. I'm asking stupid questions.
so this is red wine. It's Cabernet.
Okay.
It's actually really good. So we
Darn, I
got
can't even
yeah,
taste it.
really good.
I'm
So
planning a trip to California and I can't even
yeah,
taste it.
I know that's too bad, but
I
yeah,
know.
it's really good.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. So that wine has been, is it the same like concept that the previous owner did? Or
yeah.
did you
We
come up with a different
took over
concept?
everything. So we have this the manager, the winery manager. He is taking care of everything, and he's the one that have been developing wines for a long, long time. So we are just, we pretty much, because we produce the grapes for him, and then we get, obviously, we get the wine, but he is the one taking care of that whole side of it. And we
Or
have
yeah.
maybe in the future we might starting to do that on our by ourselves, but right now we are so busy with everything else, so that's not happening. But we do have two tasting rooms. So we have one down below in our house. I believe you can, I don't know how many hundreds of bottles you can, or thousands of bottles you can store there down there, but it's big. And then we have an outside tasting room. Um, so yeah, you're
Now we
invited.
know we need to go to
Yeah,
California to try
yeah,
that wine for those who can try it.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. That's so cool. And we were talking a little bit earlier here as well, about just being a Swede in
Hmm.
US. You've been
Hmm.
both on both coasts.
Yes, I have.
How do you feel like, because I understand you haven't even been back to
I have
Sweden
not
since
been
you moved
back.
here.
I'm worried. Yeah, that's a lot of people just like, what? You haven't been back? But yeah,
That was my reaction too. I was like,
yeah.
okay,
And
what do you miss from Sweden? Anything
I
that
miss
you
my
feel like?
siblings. I miss my siblings and my friends that I had there. And obviously they're very tired of hearing me saying that maybe next year, But it's
But
hard.
they COVID came in between, so yes, but they can also come over here.
Exactly. That's what I've said.
Like
And most
it's
of them
more
have.
exotic, but
Yeah.
on the other hand, they can't bring, like, I miss the Swedish pizza,
Mhm. Oh
stuff
my,
like
me
that.
too. Yeah, the Turkish Swedish pizza. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good. No, I agree with you. I have lived, like I said, like you mentioned, both on both coasts. I've never found anywhere where they make a Swedish really good pizza.
Pizza.
I know, and we actually do have pizza ovens here down in the tasting rooms, and
Oh,
the closest one is actually my husband's. He makes really.
there you go.
So
And
yeah,
that's just like, so are you, when we talk about pizzas here, are you
yeah.
the banana and pineapple person, or what do you want to have on your pizza?
Um,
Because
I
I
like.
miss my banana chicken and kebab
Oh
sauce
gosh, so
pizzas.
good. I don't like bananas, but I do love the curry. I love the
Oh
kebab
yes.
pizza. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, so good. Or mayonnaise sauce or whatever.
Oh
That's
yeah.
so good.
And
Oh.
that's the sauce that does not even exist in the US. People are like,
Well, you
what are
can
you
you
talking
can find it on some
about?
in some stores in like the powder form. I found it. So look,
Amazon, maybe.
no, it's like, you can
Not in
find.
Texas.
Yeah, okay, maybe not in Texas,
Mm-mm.
but
I think, I don't know if Texas or California has more Swedes.
I don't know. But I found it in New Hampshire too, and it was not many Swedish people there.
Not really the place.
Yeah.
But anything else that you miss? Do you have anything? So you moved there here with your husband. So evidently it's a Swedish whole family.
Yes.
Is there any traditions that you do still today that
We
are Swedish
Yeah,
that
I
you
mean,
have not been able to like go midsummer
yeah.
or?
No, we celebrate it all, but it's probably not very Americanized. I mean, my kids, the two oldest ones, they were born in Sweden, but they don't really remember it anything other than, in their mind, I think they think that Swedish people are like hobbits, and that's and we sing a lot of the snaps visor, which
Snaps
is
and
those songs.
I love it.
So
That's
yes,
not what I was prepared on hearing. It was awesome.
so that's what
Love
they
it.
remember. So that's so funny. But yeah, we do usually around midsummer. We usually are we if we know someone that is Swedish or whatever, we invite them and we have the midsummer party.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then yeah, we
Do you
celebrate.
celebrate Christmas on the 24th or 25th?
So we do,
Or both?
but last year we did on the 25th, which is weird. But the kids wanted to do that, so we tried. But then they were like, "No, this doesn't feel right. It has to be on the 24th."
24th.
Yeah.
I actually just put in my PTO for the 24th. I'm like, I can work the 25th, not a problem, not at all, but I
Yeah.
am not working the 24th. That's my
No,
Christmas.
that is I
It is something with that.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking earlier. You had listened to the episode from,
Hmm.
I believe, Halloween or whatever. I can't even remember when I said it. I remember talking about
Hmm.
being afraid of darkness in Sweden,
Hmm.
that a fear that I don't have here. And I thought that I was the only weird person who felt that way. But apparently I am not.
No, I
You
listened to that. So after you commented on the Facebook where I was bragging about being in the magazine, whatever, I had to listen up. So I was listening. I was gardening outside, and I was like, "Oh, that's exactly how I feel." Um, like, yeah, right before we started to record, we were talking about it, and in Sweden, I was dead scared being left alone in the barn when it was after hours and I knew I had to walk out or up into the house or into the car or whatever. I was dead scared. Or when I was walking in Stockholm, the
like
last,
the parking garage in downtown
oh,
Stockholm?
terrifying, absolutely terrifying. That's like, you wouldn't even pay me to do that.
No, no. I would call my mom at
Yeah,
1 a.m. and I was like, I
yeah.
just need to talk to you if I die. Mom's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
were already sure that you would die, so you wouldn't.
Yeah, you
Now
would die. You
you were,
just like,
that was
can somebody do my
a given.
funeral for me?
That's a given. But here I don't feel that, and
No.
we live on this farm, and it's we have a lot of coyotes. We have that super loud coyotes. We have mountain lions. We have, obviously, we live in a sort of a game.
Fires.
Yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
have fires in California, don't you?
fires. Exactly, we have fires. But I am not scared of anything, so which is very
Why
nice.
is that? Why is Sweden so scary?
I don't know. I think so. My theory on this is because it's so dark, like 8 or 9 or 10 months out of the year, it's dark, right?
Yeah,
It's dark from 3 p.m. and then it's just dark and
to 9
miserable.
a.m.
You have to keep on turning on lights all the time, and I think you get dependent on just on that all the time. Try to find like somewhere to like be in the light. I don't know. That's my what I
And
think.
but you also had a theory, and I agree with that
Mhm.
theory that and this is not a bashing of Swedish police in any
Mhm.
manner, um, but the Swedish police does work very
Yeah.
differently from the U.S. police, and I can
Mhm.
say that working in both police environments.
Mhm.
Um, so that kind of stuff, the response time for Swedish police wherever you
Yeah.
are
I mean,
30
you're
minutes
dead.
plus.
Yeah. I mean,
Here,
yeah.
if it's a response time of 30 minutes and you're
Mhm.
in some kind of town or city,
Absolutely.
oh,
And it
your
most of the
chief
time
is
they
going
would.
to be in problem.
Yeah. I mean, I have many examples of that actually.
Yeah.
I had it's funny but not funny, but in Sweden I came home from a little vacation and my brother's car was stolen.
Ouch.
Obviously, first thing I do, I'm calling the cops, right? And all they said, oh, you can come in on Monday and give us a report about it. I'm like, so you're not going to come out here? I think I know who it might be. I had some people here watching my horses. Maybe it's one of the boyfriends. Like, can you come here? And they're like, no, no, no,
Nope.
that's not how it works. And then I got called in on the following week or whatever, and they pretty much accused me for um, that it was just an insurance thing or whatever. And
Yeah.
I was like, I
Insurance
couldn't believe
fraud.
it. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, just 2 years ago, I woke up and was gonna drive my daughter to work, and my car is not there. It's missing. It's like nowhere. Um, and I don't remember if I had my purse inside of the door because we were so bad with locking our doors, or if I
You
left
learned
my
that the
car.
hard way, huh?
Yeah, or if I left my car unlocked. So I didn't remember, but I called the cops, and I'm not kidding. They were there after 3 minutes. They had like
Wow. They
four.
must have been
Yeah,
in the
this
corner.
was like amazing. It was like, and all of a sudden, like we were like, you know what, we have this system so you can look where the car goes. I forget what it's called.
GPS
Uh,
system. Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
GPS
Yeah.
tracking system.
So anyway, they're like, oh great. So we were like in the chase with them. They were kept us, yeah, they were all chasing after my car, found it, and calling me while they are arresting all these kids or gangsters that,
Wow.
and I was able to be there, and they were like, yeah, it was very surreal. In Sweden, that would never ever happen.
Never
And
happened.
like the police was like high-fiving me for like, oh, we got them all, and
Wow.
yeah,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ. Yeah, that would never ever happen
never
in
happened.
Sweden.
Yeah, never happened. So
Ever.
I got my car back, and that was thanks because they were, so on it. They were completely, and then my car got fixed. My insurance were like, oh great, like we take care of everything. They cleaned it up, made sure. First they asked if I wanted to total it, and I'm like, no way. I mean, I love my car.
Totally.
um,
For what reason?
yeah,
Was it bad? Was it like
I mean,
hurt and danger?
they had during all these hours while we were trying to chase them down, they had picked up a lot of stolen goods. They have damaged some
Oh,
stuff in the seats, and like they've been smoking pot and stuff like that in the car.
give me
But it was
fixed.
all, yeah, it was all. They could clean
Wow.
it out. But I was very impressed with that. How like the police really let us in, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that would absolutely not
never.
in the world
No,
have happened in Sweden.
I agree.
And I don't know if it's because of that your car had a GPS tracking system. I don't think that would matter if your
I
car
don't
had that in Sweden either.
I don't think in Sweden they would say, "Oh, you know what? We have to look into that, and maybe we have to have a court order to look if we can
Into
do
it.
this." Yeah, yeah. So they
Yeah.
would not.
Oh, it's just if you wonder what happened here, I just like poured out my water bottle.
Oh no! Oh no!
That's what I'm doing, like saving my stuff from water here. It's not a big deal. It wasn't
Oh
a
no!
lot. No worries. Um, Back to the horses. How many
Yeah.
horses do you have on the farm now?
Oh, I have not counted them, but I
Oh, that
think
sounds like it's a lot.
we usually most of the times we try to keep not around 16, but
Okay.
sometimes it's a couple more and a couple less. Um, and that is
So
because my sorry, I
no,
interrupted
go
you,
ahead. Go ahead.
but
Go
my
ahead. Told you I'm
my
not a journalist. This is going to be a very relaxed environment, right?
the the biggest thing we do in order to earn money here, we do have a leasing system. So some horses go
Gotcha.
out and they get leased out for a year or 6 months, and then they come back for a little bit, and we put in some training rides on it or whatever, and then they go and find a new leaser with another trainer, or they stay and be with one of the clients here or whatever. So that's why it depends what kind of how many horses we have home.
Because one thing we
Hmm.
got to bring up here, and it just dawned on me, the way you are regulated, I would call
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
to keep your horse in Sweden
Yeah.
versus US.
Yeah.
Like, I, I cannot recall we have it that the rule of exactly how many hours the horse is allowed
Hmm.
to be inside or outside was in effect when I was there. I think they were just about to implement it or they just had.
Hmm.
But when I was building the equestrian center I owned for a little bit, I found out that the European Union
Hmm.
regulated the distance between the bars in the stall
Oh yeah.
on
Oh
the
yeah.
meters.
We
And I'm
all
like,
have that. Yeah.
and then I came out here and I was like,
It's
yeah,
not,
we need a new stall there. What are the requirements? And like, you're
yeah.
in the country, you take some wood and you do whatever. I was
Yeah.
like, what about the regulations? How long time is the horse allowed to be out? How about this? How
Yeah.
about st- it's not even the same world.
I know. I know. That is true. And I wish it was regulated a little bit more here because
It might
yeah.
differentiate as well between
Yeah.
California and Texas. We have
Yeah.
to add that.
It's very different. So in the Bay Area where we lived for before we moved here, which is Silicon Valley, um,
Mhm.
real estate is very expensive. So their horses most of the times are unfortunately locked up in stalls. So it's very sad. All our horses, we tried to launch them. We had a couple turnouts we could, go back and forth with them in but it obviously was not optimum, and it just didn't feel really right. So we actually here, all our horses are out pretty much. Um,
Sweet.
I love that concept. And when people say, oh, they have to have stalls, or yeah, they have run-ins. They can, but they don't really have to have stalls. We all our horses to get blanket on if it would be, rainy or crazy weather. But again, we live in California. We do not live in Alaska. Um,
Exactly.
and all our horses are super healthy, shiny. They're all getting groomed every day. But I think it's more important for the horses to move around. I've had
Oh
pretty
yeah.
much knock on wood, no accidents. My horses are super calm and quiet. We don't have any equestrian accidents or horse accidents that they get hurt. Knock on wood again.
Yeah.
Um, our horses are super healthy, and we try to not stay and be in the arena every single day either. So
Yeah.
they have to have a little bit of variety what we do with them.
Trail ride
Yeah, we
shows.
try to trail ride them as much as we can here. Do some hill works. We do only jump twice a week, um, and unless we're at horse shows. And yeah, and I think it's good for the horses to be outside. We have a couple horses, obviously, that go and live inside in stalls, but they all have so they can go out in a little turnout in the behind as well, or we turn them out in a bigger turnouts during daytime. I think that's how horses should live.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But just this kind of regulated world
Mhm.
that Swedes
I know.
has, where it really goes down to stupidities,
I
like,
agree. I
and then
agree.
it's why. And I started one
Hmm.
really question: why is it regulated? Why does it
Hmm.
have to be that exact? Well, a horse hoof could like get stuck. I'm like,
Yeah, I know. No, it's
not
also
even worth
because
arguing.
a lot of
But it's a little
people
bit
believe
micromanaging.
it, believe it to be true as well. Because if you have a lot of Swedish people, I'm a lot on Facebook and other social media, and I post a lot about my pictures or whatever. And some Swedish people that I know have, they have um, they have big barns or whatever, or they have, whatever. They always ask, "Oh, so how come you do that? And how come? Oh, so what kind of fence is that?" Because they are so used to their regulations that they everything else is wrong,
Yeah.
and that's a little bit.
It was an eye-opening situation for me when I moved here. Just like,
Yeah,
okay, it doesn't matter if I just smash up a whole building here
yeah,
just because I'm in the county. They're like, no,
yeah.
you can do whatever you want. I'm like, oh, okay.
So that we are
No
not allowed
permits.
here. Unfortunately, we have to have permits on everything, which is a little bit.
Yeah. But
But
in Sweden, for all of y'all not knowing that, you're not allowed to leave your dog alone more than 4 hours.
yes, that's true. Yeah, that's
I
crazy.
I wouldn't be able to have a dog with my if I
Yeah,
worked the same work,
yeah.
4
No,
hours.
4 hours. Yeah,
And I'm like, okay.
yeah, that's crazy.
You have dogs. Tell me
We
about your
do have.
dogs.
Oh, we have a lot of dogs. We have German Shepherds, um, and we have a little 15-year-old Havanese. Our
Mhm.
German Shepherds are that my husband calls them his kids.
Sorry, my adult kids, you're
Yeah,
not my kids
yeah,
anymore. These
yeah,
furry are my
yeah.
kids.
So, and
But
they're
did you just have a litter of puppies? Did I see
we
that on your
did.
face?
Yep,
Oh,
they are. Yeah, they're so cute. They're starting to now to find their own homes, and it's so sad, but that's how it's supposed to be. But yeah,
yeah. Oh
it
my goodness.
and that's it's so much easier to have dogs here. I feel like than when we
Oh
lived
yeah.
in Sweden. Yeah, it's same here. I would never be able. I actually did not have dogs when I lived in Sweden because it would be too much work, and so my we had dogs obviously in family and things like that. My
Yeah.
sister so big into dogs, but I could never keep the dog in Sweden. It's because it's so different. Here, people don't. Yeah, it's everything is different. I joined a Swedish German Shepherd group on Facebook, and after 2 days, I pretty much got bullied out of that group.
Wow.
Yeah, so because
Wow.
it's only the Swedish way of doing things, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes Swedes does have a little bit hard time to realize how different US is.
Mhm.
That especially rule wise, regardless of if it's
Mhm.
animal related or not, um, it's a different world, and Swedes has a little bit hard time to understand.
Yeah.
Just the fact for me working EMS, I have my work hours are weird. I work 12-hour shift, and I can work a 24-hour. I can work a 48-hour shift if I so want. For a
Yeah.
Swede, they're like,
Yeah.
that's not gonna happen.
No, no, they would never ever do it.
So many people, when I did a couple of 48s a couple of years ago, they're like, that's not legal. You cannot do that. That's not right. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
I can do it here.
Yeah. Exactly. No, it's a lot of things like that, and I mean, we don't have a concept here. Obviously, that's low said maybe, but you know how many people in Sweden get burned out,
Hmm.
and I actually don't know anyone here that got burned out. But it's a big thing in Sweden. I probably have at least 5 friends that are not working, and they are in our age and just quit working because they're burned out. And they work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. But meanwhile, I'm working
You are
24
a horse
hours,
girl.
24 hours.
Like,
And it's,
I don't need to work half as much as
yeah,
you do. You know that. To be
so
your own business person, and then
yeah,
within a
mm,
question, no, even
exactly.
I'm not working half
Mm.
the time that you do. But on the other hand, you do your hobby,
That is correct.
and you have your therapist as your horses.
Mhm. That is true. But if
So that's a good part. So what does the future look like for you here?
our
Horses.
future, yeah, I'm hoping that to keep on building up our company, the
Mhm.
horse company, that it's still gonna, yeah, and just hopefully my dream is to give it over to my 2 girls that are also into horses. Obviously, they both are. 2 of them are.
How old are they?
My oldest, she's 20, and then I have a he's turning 19-year-old son,
Hmm.
and then I have a 14-year-old daughter that also rides and competes, and then we have Maya, and she's 11, and she is just Maya. She does not like horses, but she likes animals and, yeah, anime and things like that.
There you go. Well, just because
Yeah.
you've grown up on a horse farm
Oh,
doesn't mean that you have to love
nope.
horses.
Exactly.
It's not a rule or
Nope.
law. Absolutely not.
Nope.
So cool. So, what was the magazine you were in? I don't think we mentioned what magazine. I just
Yeah.
said an equestrian magazine. What was the magazine? I'm
It's
gonna post pictures. I'm gonna steal the pictures that you took from your
yeah.
Facebook and put in our blog so you can see the pictures there.
So it's an exclusive magazine that usually are giving away at big events and horse
Mhm.
shows. It's called the Equestrian Catalog, and it's very, you'd say, like high end, very beautiful, front page, everything, all the, yeah, it feels like a little, nice,
Exclusive.
yeah, yeah, and for me it was a big honor. I love it, and it's so beautiful. So
How
it's what.
tell me, how did that come about that you were able to be a part of that magazine? That sounds
So
fun.
yeah, so I'm probably very, I'm not very Swedish in my mind. It's like I know I love socialize. I love to meet new people, new connections, and it's, yeah, always, out, be out and about. And so most people know me. Um, Maybe as the crazy Swedish trainer. I don't know.
I have a little bit when I meet you, and we've never met. We've
Yeah.
texted a little bit yesterday before this, and then we came up with, yes, we can do this today. Um, and I got the connection, like, this is probably a person who is kind of like me, very open. There is like no stop in anything. You talk to anybody. Is that the horses that makes you do that? Because you go around on shows when you're a kid, and it doesn't matter what club you're showing for or competing for, where you are. You talk to anybody or nobody because They're right in
So,
front of you right now.
yeah,
And that's very un-Swedish.
yeah, it is
But
very
is it
unexpected.
horsey?
Maybe that could be it. That because again, horses give you confidence, but I don't know. I think I always been that kind of person. I
Person?
I always said ever since I was little that I would move to California and have a horse farm. So my sisters always say that if I decide something, that's what's gonna happen.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it might
Well,
sound very braggy, but that's how I am, and that's what I try to teach my kids too. If you want something, you make sure it
go
happens.
for it.
Yeah,
Go for it.
yeah. As long as you're
If-
kind and love people in the process and things like that, and trying to do everything right. So absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as Swedes, for example, you don't talk to people in an elevator, and the amount of times that I've gotten the strange look is like,
That's very true.
don't talk to me or
Yeah.
don't even dare. I was like, I thought it was because I've been living all around the world
Mhm.
basically or at least my mom was a very international person. So I
Yeah.
figured maybe that's why. But I'm
Maybe.
glad that I'm not the only very open Swedish person in this world. Usually we have word of the week, and of course
Mhm.
I have chosen the word of the week,
Mhm.
which is horse. What is horse in Swedish?
Hest.
Häst. Yeah. Häst.
That's yeah, with the A with the two dots.
Hä.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hest.
Häst.
Yeah.
Häst. That, I guess that's kind of a hard word for an American to say just because of the H. Häst.
Yeah, probably. And I think in we say it different ways too, depending what kind of dialect you have. But Hest,
Yeah.
yeah, feels super weird to say Hest. I don't know why.
Häst. Yeah. So I got to tell you a fun story. My mom worked in Dallas long before we even got our own farm. So this is many years ago. And of course, she's as us flipping between Swedish and English like
Mhm.
nobody's business, no problem. And she was at this huge dinner. She worked for Ericsson, the mobile company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was her business over here, why she was here. And she calls me in the morning and she's like, yeah, I went to this big gala ordeal last night and I had a problem. I was like, okay, my mom having a problem, that's not good. She's like, I went blank. Okay, what was the problem? We must have, in some way she had talked about me.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, the horse is going to have a, she was about to say foal, but
Yeah.
she could not in the world come up with that word at
Yeah.
that very moment. So she's
Yeah.
like, it's gonna be a horse baby.
Yeah.
Horse baby. So she calls me the following morning, and she's like, what is horse baby in Swedish?
Yeah.
In English, it's foal. In Swedish, it's föl.
Yeah.
And I said that, and she's like,
Duh.
oh my God. She could not come up with a word foal. Föl. So yeah, you never know. Flipping between languages could sometimes be quite confusing.
It is.
Yes.
We were speaking Swedish before, and it was very confusing.
Well, it depends. Like you speak mostly English with your family, of course. On the farm with other Americans,
Yeah.
they have anyone in your equestrian world started understanding Swedish at all?
So yes, we have. It's. I actually teach my daughter when we are at horse shows. I give her directions sometimes in Swedish, and
And
because
people are like, huh?
yeah, but it actually started just a few years ago because she also trains for a trainer called Robert Blanchett, and he speaks Swedish. He was married to a person in Skåne in Sweden.
Yes.
So he's starting to teach her in Swedish, and she does not speak Swedish herself, but she likes to get that when because she can hear it throughout everyone else. All
Throughout,
that,
yeah.
yeah. So
That's kind
all
of smart.
so my clients actually they learned a couple things that I say, and they yeah. So some of them did.
Because when I moved here, I had to basically sit down with a dictionary. There is a Swedish American or Swedish English horse dictionary, and I had to use this because it was a lot of words that I didn't know in English.
Yeah.
But good lord, like a Swedish terminology, horse terminology, I got it. I was like, okay, what is a? Then it turned out to martingale is almost the same word, but there are so many words. There's like, I don't
Absolutely.
know. And I still sometimes like, what are we talking about here? Oh, that's what we're talking about. And I know the word in Swedish,
Yeah.
no problem.
I mean, I've
But
been teaching now for since 2007 in English, so for me, it's
now you know,
yeah.
yes.
Now
Yeah. And that was the same for me when I moved here. It's like now I know, but back then I was like,
oh,
oh,
I
that's
remember.
right, that's left, that's a
Yeah,
stirrup. Perfect saddle.
yeah,
Gotcha. But then when it came to details, there are probably some parts of the bridle that I'm like, sidostycke.
yeah.
No clue what that part is in English still. That's a part of the bridle on the side. But yeah. So yeah, terminology,
Yeah.
equestrian terminology is a challenge
Yes.
sometimes. Anything else you want to add? What have
No,
I forgotten?
no, this was very fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for coming on. I saw it. It's like, oh, a horse person.
All, and we have to find the tabby coat.
Yes. Who is this? Who is this person? It's
Um,
soon a major challenge. I don't know how to make that post go viral more.
I'll
Really,
help. Sure, make stuff happen. So I'm gonna find her.
yes, because I want to talk to her if she comes back to
Yeah.
Tyler, Texas. I need to
Even
know how did she get hold of a jacket that says Täby Ryttarsällskap on the
what
back?
was this a dressage show?
It was a hunter jumper. It was actually a 3-day
Eventing or
eventing show. Yes.
eventing? Okay, that's super easy. Just go and look who was in that show, and then you check any Swedish.
All the Swedish. Well, I heard there was a couple of like it was a guy I can't remember his name now, but it sounded like he had some Swedish things, but I wasn't really in the situation. Hey, are you Swedish? That sounds like a Swedish name. When he walked out of the arena, that he was busy talking to his friends and whatever. So it's like I'm not gonna make a total fool of myself. But yeah, I really want to know who
Yeah.
is that person? How did you get hold of that
Yeah.
jacket? That's my mission.
Call someone at the
Yes, just interesting to know because it was certainly something that I did not expect to see in East Texas on a Saturday morning.
yeah. No,
She was so far away. I should have run over, and I didn't. But
I'll go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck with your horses
Yep.
and the winery as well. Check you out on the social media. I'm going to post all those links in our blog as well. So
Thank you so
thank
much.
you so much, and you have an awesome week.
You
Bye
too.
bye, everybody.
Bye.